How's it going, everyone? It's Avi from Mother Sponge 5000, and in this video we're going to focus on the newly formed Tropical Storm Colin, which has made landfall right around South Carolina and is expected to move northwards and impact a lot of the mid-Atlantic states. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current water vapor imagery just off the coast of the Carolinas, and we do see that while we do see a lot of convection just off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia at this time, believe it or not, the center circulation is right here, well further northwest of where all the convection is occurring. So this is a very lopsided type tropical storm, which is pretty common during the early part of the hurricane season because there typically isn't a lot of moisture or there isn't enough lift sometimes in the atmosphere during the early months of the hurricane season to really see a well-defined center circulation where all the convection is circulating around it. And plus, the wind shear is a little bit stronger during the early part of the hurricane season, so we see that westerly wind component typically bring a lot of the convection further to the eastern side, which makes the storm very lopsided. And this is one of the cases here where most of the rain, the thunder shower activity, and the wind is off the coast of where the center circulation is located. Right now, the center circulation is located just to the north of Myrtle Beach, and it's expected to continue to move northwestward and bring gusty winds and heavy rain along the coast. Now, taking a look at the current wind shear forecasts, or at least the how the wind shear is looking right now, we do see that this storm was under just enough of a lightly sheared environment to where we were able to see just enough of a closed circulation and wind strong enough to consider this a tropical storm. So it's quite surprising how spontaneous this tropical storm developed, because we weren't the National Hurricane Center wasn't expecting anything to develop, and now we have a tropical storm just off the Carolina coast. So you definitely need to pay close attention along the coast, especially since rough surf and a high rip current risk is likely. So make sure to stay off the waters today, just off the Carolinas. And I know it might be unfortunate for you guys because it's 4th of July weekend, and I'm sure many tourists went to the Carolina coast for the weekends, but it's best to save your life and stay out the waters for today and potentially into tomorrow as well, because there's going to be a high rip current risk associated with this tropical storm. So make sure to stay safe along the Carolina coast for this weekend. Now, if I were to show you guys the forecasted rainfall, you see that not a lot of rainfall is expected from this tropical storm. It's mainly due to the fact that, like I said, the storm's very lopsided. Most of the moisture is going to stay off the Carolina coast, so we won't see a heavy amount of rain, but you easily could see 1 to 2 inches just along the North Carolina coast. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see localized amounts a little higher than that. And while the rainfall might not seem like a lot, you have to keep in mind that there's still that risk of flash flooding, which even if it only rains 1 to 2 inches, if that rain falls at a very fast period, that could lead to a flash flood threat in your area. So you definitely need to pay close attention to the radar over the next couple hours, because you could potentially see maybe those isolated thunder showers that could induce a higher probability of flash flood in your area. So make sure to keep that in mind along the South Carolina and North Carolina coast for this weekend. And take a look at the wind forecast. So this was a wind as of 8 a.m. We do see that center circulation is located right here. Most of the convection and wind activity is located towards the eastern side, as it seems pretty much like there's a little bit, the air is a little bit too stable on the western side to really see as much convection, but we're still seeing enough rotation to where it is considered a tropical storm. But you see that the strongest winds will be located right around the eastern half of this storm towards Myrtle Beach, Wilmington. Taking a look at 11 a.m., you see that the winds continue throughout the Carolinas, especially the Outer Banks, where the winds could be sustained right around 20 to 30 miles per hour, and a little bit more along the immediate coast, where winds could be sustained around 30 to 35, with wind gusts maybe going a little bit over 40 to 50 miles per hour at times. So this won't be a major damaging wind threat necessarily, but it will at least bring some gusty winds to the point where it could knock some things down, especially the more loose things along the coast like garbage cans and other various items that are very light. So you need to prepare and take all those very lightly weighted things inside, because those could be projectiles that could damage your property. So make sure to pay close attention to that. But this won't be a major wind threat, mainly because this is going to be a weak tropical storm. The eye is over a large area of land at this point, so it's unlikely we're going to see this strengthen much at all beyond what it is right now, because of course the center circulation needs to be over water for it to really gain some velocity when it comes to the wind speed, because there's too much friction along a land surface, and plus there isn't that warm water vapor that brings a lot of that latent heat for tropical cyclones to strengthen, and this is too far out from the water to really do that. So this won't necessarily strengthen much more than it is right now, as most of the wind should stay off the coast and on the eastern side of where the eye is located. Now, if I were to show you guys what the GFS model is forecasting, nothing big. The GFS model did develop a small low pressure system right around the northeastern portion of South Carolina, but you see that it is expected to move just out to sea with this cold front that's moving through. So this won't be a long-lasting event. I'd say by tomorrow things should almost be completely back to normal for the Carolinas, with maybe the exception of rip currents. So still keep that in mind that the rip current risk could still stay tomorrow. So make sure to stay off the water if there is a high rip current risk or very rough surf, which is likely for today and potentially into tomorrow as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, if I were to show you guys the ensemble members, we do see that the ensemble members are taking the storm pretty much off the shore, not really coming very close to the Delmar Peninsula or the states further northward. So if you're in the northeast, this would be a sigh of relief. You don't want to see the storm move northward, but throughout the Carolinas, make sure to pay close attention to heavy rain and potentially gusty winds along the coast, because that's certainly a possibility with this storm. Make sure to stay off the water. Now, if I were to show you guys my forecast when it comes to Tropical Storm Colin, this won't necessarily be a very long-lasting event. I do expect it to maybe strengthen a little bit to 45 miles per hour as it heads potentially closer to the Carolina coast. However, beyond that, it should, I'd say, weaken to back down to 40 miles per hour, because we also have to keep in mind that north of Cape Hatteras, the sea surf temperatures are a lot cooler, hovering more around the mid to lower 70s, which isn't sufficient enough to support for tropical cyclone development, as at that point beyond the Sunday time frame, really the only thing that will be strengthening this low pressure system will be baroclinic influences. So this won't be much of a major concern, I'd say, even for the Carolinas, but you still need to pay close attention to gusty winds and potentially flash flooding associated with some of these thunderstorms on the eastern side of this eye. So make sure to stay prepared for this throughout the Carolinas for this weekend. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and I hope you guys all have a great day.